Huh. Ooh. Hello. Ska music. We love the ska music, don't we? Ska music's what we're here to talk about. Is that true? Is it about ska music today? Honestly, I am here for the ska revolution. I am here. I am embracing the fifth wave of ska. I am here for it. Let's skank the night away. 6 feet apart. A new day. People are still dumb on the internet. People are still real dumb on the internet. I did not see the videos in Discord yet. What's up, Theory? Welcome. Yeah, I'm here for the ska revolution. Ska's always been about a revolution. Ska's always been a little bit punk rock. Ska's always been a little bit like, all out there. But doing so in a good way. So I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. Wanted to talk about this real quick. Because goddamn. Oh wait, viewers? Players. Got it. Alright. Chill out. Chill out with the ska. What up, Lost? Ooh. There it is, Theory. That's good. You know, you get a day of rest. Thank you for being an essential employee though. That's a big deal to us. So the last 30 days, obviously more people be home. So we have a huge influx of Smite players. And they are all playing Anubis in my solo lane. In fact, somebody just responded to my comment because I commented that. What do they say? Pocket picks only 2BH. They're all playing Anubis solo in my ranked games. But we have a lot of players, and you know, so this thread is full of people talking about like, oh, what should we do to like they need to capitalize with this PL. They don't need land. I once again we'll see. But like all these like and this is what I think is, you know, such a the Smite community thinks that you could just like snap your fingers and have just, if they knew what they were doing, you know, you could just capitalize. Like there's no button that says retention. You know, people were talking about ranked arena. Oh man. Yo, no part of me wants to do ranked arena. We did, I wonder if we could find it. The Alienware Arena Tournament Smite. Dude, this was fucking miserable. This was not good.
Will die to Loki in the earlier parts of the game.
Absolutely.
Whew.
Not to mention, like, late game having the, Freya.
Look at this fucking team, though. Wolfie 2032, Allied, Shing, Incon, back when he was Incontinentia.
I don't
and
expect this game to be very long.
NJ Nick.
This looks like a very fast-paced game by these people.
And then these people, right?
They don't understand the pain of early Bacchus. Sting gonna try to secure this orange buff while the teamfight rages on at the red buff. Wolfie gonna get a little low initially, but it's gonna be Funky Flockus that gets turned on. The Geb Shield doing work there.
Where's the... Oh, I remember I5. I5 was Dergius's team, right? A lot of these games were standstill. Like when you had good teams versus against each other, they just stood there.
Everyone, welcome to day
Look at DM Brandon in his little tie. Aww. Yo, I miss no Beard Brandon. Beard Brandon has this weird, like, MC Chris energy that I'm down for. But look at this fucking gem of a man, dude. Look at this gem of a man. Big fan here. Dry Bear, I love you. Dry Bear has aged gracefully. Let's put it that way. Dry Bear looks a little bit nicer now. I always used to roast Dry Bear's outfits. I love that dude though. He's a funny guy. But so these Exposed versus TSM. Exposed Secrets.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the conclusion of your Alienware Arena Cup tournament. My name is
All right.
Epcot, and I'm joined here with
Look
Dan
at that
Brandon. How you
mic,
doing today,
dude.
Brandon?
I am actually doing fantastically.
Yo,
This
my
is
mic
probably gonna
is
be one of my
crushing
best
it.
nights.
Dude, remember when we were F
Sure,
Swag,
okay, cool.
New York?
That sounds exciting. We're not going to touch that because I don't want to. Too hot to handle. Anyway, so why don't you...
Okay.
Is my
so
mic
it's
like
just-
this the entire time?
They don't get emotion.
In the first season, a completely
Yes. Awesome.
So far.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Kronos pick, you know, again, this is one of those things where like game hunters.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at these bands. This is my ranked game yesterday.
Can work out. It's one of,
This is the game I played
tier list,
yesterday.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. This guy on the forums made a cool tier list DM. You should check it out sometime. So shadow picking up is really nasty. Scylla, Kronos, and Jingle Bang, I mean Sun Wukong, they're really more oriented around their other abilities. They're not.
Let's not listen to me cast this. But this is what ranked arena looks like. You clear the wave, and then you got to get the last hit. Everybody stands around the minion, and then you fuck off. This is what real arena looks like. You clear the wave, you make sure you get the last hits, and then you fuck off. This is not... this isn't... You guys love this enthralling gameplay?
Because
Oh, yeah.
if you're gonna be able to
And look at the names in this game. Funballer, Frostiak, Proxy QQ, rest in peace, man. Shadow Nightmare, Dazer versus Trick Tank, Quavo, Maniac, Game Hunter, Young Bay.
Now comes Trick Tank being pulled in. He's going to get caught out by 3 members. He's going to get out with just 1 HP, but Funballer's going to make sure that's not going to happen. One last change.
Ooh, bad
Securing
call.
the first
Predicting the
blood
future.
for Team Solo Mid.
So that was Noah's
And then I did my announcer voice, which is so lame. That's funny. But yeah, you just it's Overwatch. You clear waves, you get ults, and you ult. And then when you're done ulting, you fuck off. This is not... Ranked Arena is not what you should be asking for. Ranked Arena is not what you should be looking for. Don't...
Yeah, everything's ready, everything's up, everything's going, and that was
What are
another
the-
pick. We don't usually see those in Arena, Brandon. I always
Is
notice
F-Dot
those
drunk or
one
something?
second.
Yes.
I mean, this early in the game, looking at his items, Trick Tank literally has level 2 of Height of the Urchin. I don't think he's much of a tank, but we usually see more 5v5
I don't know what's wrong with the
engagements.
microphone, dude.
One more time, so that was an early pick, and
Yeah, why is my audio
Changing out
like
of position
this?
right there.
You know what I love though is I was talking about it. TSM is not in.
Oof, man, Cake Man, you're gonna
Understand
make me rage.
rushing back to the base, try to counteract what's going on. He jumps into the shell.
The game, oh
I
man.
know that I can take
Like arena's excellent, but to imply that it's, we should have ranked arena or whatever, like people sit there and they hate conquest players. They're like, oh, you guys take the game to blah. Yeah, arena is the real pure
I
mode.
think it's criminally underpurchased, Brandon, and I love it, especially in Arena, where the goal is to literally fight the other person down. We have a 7-ticket differential between our two teams, which is basically nothing going on. It's
Ha.
very early in the game, lots of things are going to happen. We haven't even seen our first real...
I'll give this a
fight yet.
thumbs up. I'll give this a thumbs up. Yeah, arena just wasn't the most fun. A lot of Guan Yu, a lot of healing the minions, Guan Yu in hell, you know. A lot of nonsense. An error occurred.
Hey everyone, I'm Hi-Rez APC here at Hi-Rez Studios. I am the esports tournament manager here, and I'm going to talk about the Alienware Arena 2-week tournament that took place, where the first half of the bracket was taking place 2 weeks ago, and last weekend, the second half of the bracket took place. This was all fought for $10,000, and a lot of gems to go to the players in 4th through 8th place. Now without further ado, let's go to the spoilers. The 3rd and 4th place matchup was between
We like Adam.
Solomid and Exposed
Adam works over at Overwatch now.
Team Solomid took 3rd place there, which they got
Shoutouts to when you would be spectating an official tournament
Team Solomid
with a name sponsor and everything, and your friend Toasts would come up. Oh man, dude. Yo, Ninja Sniper! We know Ninja Sniper.
place there, which they well-known organization, Cognitive Gaming, and a not so well-known one, the Game Changers, but they've been showing a really strong presence in the competitive scene recently.
Yo, the Game Changers actually.
Competitive scene
The Game Changers were the young kids. That was Cog Red, right?
Best of 3 series. They took home $6,000, and the Game Changers still took a good amount of cash.
The Game Changers were.
$3,000. That'll do it for
This video doesn't line up with what he's saying. What the fuck?
SmiteGame.com. I'm Hi-Rez APC.
Thanks, Kelly. Man, that's funny though. Yeah, the ranked arena thing just not what we want to see. I severely don't encourage it. Is this just live Doom, or is there something going on right now? Yeah, it's just Doom. We don't need to like, so stay informed, right? Stay informed. I assume there's another Chromo thing. But like, I don't know, man. Having 24-hour news coverage just like I don't know. You're hurting yourself at that point. That's a problem. So I'm not here to just like chill and sit there like and just absorb it all. That's Doom Eternal gameplay. I do not watch RuPaul's Drag Race at all, really. Not at all. What's up, Christy? How you doing? Pizza time. We love it. This is how I feel when I eat pasta at 3 in the afternoon. So I've been talking about how we need more ska in our lives. RuPaul is a fracker? Well, I don't imagine they're out there fracking. They support fracking, right? Like RuPaul's not out there. RuPaul's not out there in a hard hat and a jackhammer like she's not, or however you frack it. You actually like insert a really big needle into the earth and then like or something. I don't actually know. Let's see if this is RuPaul fracking. I don't want to support the Guardian. He leases the mineral rights of the 60,000 acres he owns to oil companies. I've been fracking. What the fuck? That's kind of wild. That's insane. That is insane. I still want to picture him wearing a hard hat, doing the thing. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Christy. I think that's a good way to put it as well. Like just having it on looping in the background is somebody coined the term doom surfing. Like you're just dooming, man. You're just dooming. Like, oh well, we know what's out there. We know what's out there. That's why everybody be staying home and playing Smite. See? Look at this, 11,006 players on Steam. Is that? I have no concept of numbers. Like I have no concept of is 11,000 Steam charts. I imagine the Steam charts are fucking insane right now, huh? I imagine they're crazy. Counter-Strike. I remember playing Counter-Strike in the 5th grade, and there are a million people playing Counter-Strike right now. That's insane to me. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I see. These are the games people are playing right now. Like, obviously, you're going to be playing. Like, these are the ones that. These are the ones that are. You know, the quintessential games that people play online, right? Football Manager is actually always up here. Yeah, I don't know who's playing PUBG when there's like Apex and COD and just stop playing PUBG. If anybody from PUBG is watching this, I apologize and I will gladly commentate your tournament. But stop playing PUBG, dude. Just stop playing. PUBG was my favorite. PUBG was my favorite BR for a long time, and I forgave its clunkiness. I forgave all of it. I think I have, yeah. Like we used to play all the time on stream, dude, regularly. Yeah, I have all these different types of ammo. Look how dope I am, dude. This is not gonna happen. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm shooting people. I like zoomed in. Yeah, I miss playing with Nick. You can't do that, dude.
No, the goal is to get a shotgun and drive by someone.
How come this doesn't work?
Or even better, drive by sickle.
That's weird.
I'm just gonna head towards the center. Ow. Sickle me! Ow! Stop! Oh, shit! I'm hitting you!
I don't know why, dude. I fucked something up. Everything is way too quiet. Yo, shout out to Young Chris, dude. Remember listening to Young Chris? Remember listening to Young Chris, man? That was nuts. But so, like, dude, Football Manager is always up here. And these are the games that I think people are going to play a lot of, right? Like, everybody, like, you're going to play this with your friends, and you're going to play your Monster Hunter, and you're going to play your Warframe, and you're going to wow, shout outs to TF2. You're going to play your, you know, your Stardew Valleys, and your The Witchers, right? But Stellaris, Civilization, like, Path of Exile, Football Manager 2020, like, these are the games that people are going to be playing, you know? Like, these are the people, oh, what's the term? There's a, abjugation is the gaming term. I forget what there's like a psychological term for it, where like it's just doing something. Like the idea of like a fidget spinner or like one of those like cube boxes that you press a lot. You know, I'm not doing anything. Clicking a pen is gratifying to some people, right? It's not fun. It's not entertaining. but it's just something to do. Like, that's how I play Civ, man. I load up Civ and I sit there and I just... And then it's 5 hours later and I'm invading Russia, you know? Like AFK gaming, dead braining. Yeah, exactly. It's just something to do, man. Those are the games that really like make it happen. Like the amount of times I have, the amount of times, like I'll just leave my computer on, right? The amount of times I wake up, I shower, I brush my teeth, I go to the fridge, I get a drink. That's like what I do every morning, right? As soon as I wake up. And then I come to my computer and I'll look at the screen and there's a Civ game that I have vague recollection at best. Vague recollection where I'm just like, I don't really remember how we got into this. And then I click play on the Netflix in like the middle of some episode of some, show. And I'm like, bang, I know exactly what was happening. Because I was watching TV more than I was playing the game. So those are the games. And that's the thing, is that I have played hours upon hours upon hours of Civ because you can just restart it. Like, where's my profile? How do I look at my profile? Here I do, right? So somebody put a giant ASCII dick on my profile, and I responded, I'm not going to delete the giant ASCII dick. I don't know if it breaks TOS, so I'm not going to put it on the screen, but it's funny to me. But how do I look at hours played? Like, yeah, like I have 4,000 hours in Civ. And like, a lot of these, admittedly, I'm not actively playing, like just left the computer on, but I've also actively played a lot of those hours, because you shake the Etch-a-Sketch, right? It's not like The Witcher is a great game. This is one of my favorite pieces of media of all time, but like, I did it. I beat it. I 100%ed it. There's nothing else to do, So, fuck me, right? Oh, well. Civ, you can play on, like, the hardest difficulty and then shake it up and then, play, like, do it again or whatever the fuck. I didn't finish Red Dead, actually. I was playing Red Dead. I only played Red Dead on the big TV. I've never played Red Dead right here. It's kind of wild. Stardew Valley is another game that it's Animal Crossing. Stardew Valley is Animal Crossing for PC, right? It's Harvest Moon. I love this game, Stardew Valley. I haven't played it since it came out. Did they change it? What do I have, 200 hours in Dota Underlords? Dude, so Dota Underlords, I love this game. Dota Underlords, I always pick the wrong game, right? I play Smite instead of League of Legends. I always pick the wrong fucking game. And when all the auto battlers came out, Dota Underlords was the one that I loved. It was sick. I hate the carousel round in TFT. Sorry. It was sick. And then I did cast a tournament for them. So I probably clocked like, a solid all day, every day, Saturday and Sunday weekend, playing the game and learning it in that sort of way, right? So that's probably like a solid like 12 plus hours there. That's the 212. No, realistically, studying probably was like 20 hours. But yeah, no, we played a lot of this. Me, Finch, Aggro, we used to all like get in a call. Hinduman, we used to all like get in a call and like play Dota Underlords. This was a fun game for us. This was a fun one. The Pope is Catholic. We liked Civ 5, but not as much as Civ 6. I didn't play too much Civ 5. I spent all my hours in Civ 3 and Civ 4, in all honesty. Civ 5 came out and I wasn't playing Civilization. So I've been thinking about playing Deus Ex. Those games were fun. Yeah, Civ 3 was when I discovered that I really, really loved like turn-based strategy type stuff. That and like, you know, that type of approach, like that really was the key of it. I was really into it. But yeah, those are the games that are gonna succeed. Doom Eternal here, not surprised. New game, but whatever. See, like, look, Red Dead, you're not gonna get these giant numbers, but well, actually, that is online. Hey, more people are playing Dota Underlords than Smite, bro. Rip. Smite's number 61. Yo, more Paladins than Smite? Oh no! Oh no! The Elder Scrolls Online literally is a dead game. Like, Elder Scrolls Online is... Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of the card game. Never mind. I'm dumb. Mountain Blade, dude. Why do so many people... No, Realm is... I have no idea what Realm is. But like, dude, why do so many people love Mount and Blade? Why do so many people like this game? This looks so ass. This looks so ass. Like, why? Why do you, like, look at this. You're just mowing down peasants? You're gonna get to do this in, like, 8 months anyway. Everybody loves this game, man. Everybody loves this game. So many people talk about this game, dude. Like, yo, everybody, let's line up and press W. Fuck you, Revolutionary War ass motherfuckers. Like, that's not actually, this kind of looks, this is fire. I would play, like, in the Middle East or, like, you know, the desert. That'd be cool. I don't want to play, like, you know, I don't want to be like some like Irish Viking guy with a shield. You know, like, that's not what I want to be doing, you know? Fallout 4? I imagine they're playing can you tell who's playing multiplayer versus, not? Also, what is this? What is this? Sunday? Oh, okay. Oh, never. So on Sunday, everybody just went to church? Maganar. Yeah, sometimes that's late game sieges. You're not wrong. Now, this is something that legitimately surprises you. Like, all right, man, all this stuff, none of this stuff really surprises me, but seeing, what is human fall flat? Oh, it's some dumb... What is this? So is it like one of those difficult to control yourself games like QWOP or something? 'Cause it certainly looks like that. No! I thought he was gonna get squashed. You know, I kind of like this little guy. Man, a lot of people are into it. That's kind of nuts. I've never heard of this game. You only control your hands and your movement. Isn't that... I don't see how that is. I have no idea. Factorio is a game, dude. Factorio is a game that I think a lot of people will be playing a lot. This is a great example of a game that you can waste a lot of time with.
Full of life, richness, and natural resources. Imagine you accidentally crash with your spaceship right there, and your only possibility to survive is the use of your talent to create technology. So you start by mining resources manually. But this is a game about automation. Your mission in here is to design factories. That's why you create machines for doing the job, such as furnaces, mining drills, steam engines, insert,
Very cool.
pipes, transport belts, assembling machines, and many others. Make use of your creativity as an engineer, because in Factorio, it's up to you how to set up your factory. Start with very basic setups. Extract coal for smelting ores, and transform them into advanced products. In Factorio, you have to find the ways of getting electricity and design and manage your electric network. As soon as you have power, use it to feed advanced machines that craft for you. Automate your process.
Dude, look at this shit.
As an organic mechanism.
When people get really into their factories, it gets nuts.
Logistic problems and research new technologies that help you even further. Use these technologies to expand to new territories.
Choo choo.
New sources of energy and control your production.
Satisfactory first person? Yo, I'm actually really down. Oh, we do have another Cuomo here. Let me look at this first.
Update 3 is fun.
Oh, here we go.
And we
Ooh.
have just so many cool things now. It's actually unbelievable.
Yo, this actually looks fire. I was expecting shit.
Adorable little carts. And along with a host of fundamentally game-changing tweaks, there are also now liquid pipes. The Mad Lads finally did it.
This looks fire, dude.
And still no toilet paper? Oh, but hey, that's new.
Wait a second.
Koros slaves. Why is it farting? Nice. I think
Is
that's
this the
Mad
same
Labs
company?
Cycle game. Okay. I am like.
You remember the cycle?
Ma'am is a
Remember the cycle that we played?
It's high part assembly.
So the
smart
cycle has a system like
The awesome.
man, this is a 42. Yeah. Oh shit, I just had it.
Are updated.
Remember that game we played, The Cycle? The Cycle has a system like Borderlands where
Starting
there are different companies for the guns and they have different properties. And
and still no toilet paper.
Fortuna 3 is the name of the. This is The Cycle. The Cycle game is made by. Who makes The Cycle? Jaeger Development. And Satisfactory game is Coffee Stain. Like you said, they make the Sanctum games. What are the Sanctum games? What's up, Cicilline? I definitely am interested in Satisfactory. This looks cool. I think I might download this and play this sometime. But this is really interesting. Why is there... Why? That's really interesting.
Hey.
517. Word. Interesting.
Rather than saying we have to provide equipment for the entire
Let's see what Cuomo has to say.
at one time, let's talk about addressing the critical need in that hot spot.
Yes, G Money.
Once that hot spot turns, because you have an apex and then you have a curve, and the curve is relatively short, once you address that hot spot with that intensity, intense equipment, intense personnel,
We hate French
then
cuffs.
shift to the
Why does
next
anybody
hot
like
spot
French cuffs?
and have more of a rolling deployment across the country than a static deployment, right? I was in the federal government at HUD. I worked on dozens of disasters. You deal with the disaster in front of you at that time, and then you move on to the next disaster. And I think that rolling deployment could work here. And on behalf of New York, I said we will be 100% helpful. We need help from the entire country right now. We need resources from the entire country right now. And because our apex is first and our numbers are highest. But the apex high point will be sequential.
So I guess they're just
across
like friends. That's kind of
I
neat.
said to the White House, send us the equipment that we need, send us the personnel. As soon as we get past our critical moment, we will redeploy that equipment and personnel to the next hotspot. And I will personally guarantee it and personally manage it. So if you send us 15,000 ventilators, and then after our curve, Los Angeles needs 15,000 ventilators, we can take the equipment from here, we can take the personnel from here, we can take the lessons from here. You know, we go first. We're going to learn things that nobody else has learned because we're going to be the first one through the chute. And I personally guarantee that we will bring that equipment, we will bring that personnel, we'll bring that technical assistance to the next hotspot. I said to the president, I'll be part of going to the next hotspot with our team. We're asking the country to help us. We will return the favor. And we are all in this together.
I saw a headline that I don't
We're
know if
asking
was
for
true
their
or
help
not,
and
but
their
they said
consideration, and we will repay it with dividends.
Trump was angry, and the reason that the federal government isn't helping New York out is to the extent that they wanted is because Andrew Cuomo is not as respectful as Donald Trump would have liked. And although I can't fact check that,
It would
that sounds
really,
correct.
Be terrible for the state of New York. The $2 trillion bill, what does it mean for New York state government? It means $3.8 billion. $3.8 billion sounds like a lot of money. Rob Mahika, the budget director, can talk you through the numbers, but we're looking at a shortfall, revenue shortfall of 9, 10, 15 billion dollars. This response to this virus has probably already cost us $1 billion. It will probably cost us several billion dollars when we're done. New York City only gets $1.3 billion from this package. That is a drop in the bucket as to need. I spoke to our House delegation, congressional delegation, this morning. I said to them, this doesn't do it. You know, I understand the Senate theory and the Republican theory, but we need the House to make adjustments. In the House bill that went over, New York State got $17 billion. In the Senate bill,
So this is what he's referring to, by the way. This is what was proposed.
We've learned a little bit this morning from the Hill newspaper and Politico.com about what is in this deal that the lawmakers reached between the White House
quiet.
and Capitol Hill. There is $500 billion for major corporations. There is $367 billion for small business loans, $130 billion for hospitals across the country, and state and local governments can tap into $150 billion. Also, a $1,200 check, one-time check to Americans, those making up to $75,000, with an additional $500 per child. There's also $30 billion for
It's pretty low for a lot of people.
funding, $35 billion.
Some
for
people, I mean,
transit.
shit, if your rent's
There
like
also will
$600,
be an
that's fine.
Employee retention tax credit that businesses can use to keep their employees on the payroll.
That's a big deal.
25 billion employees on the payroll.
Right here?
There also will be an employee retention tax credit that businesses can use to keep their employees on the payroll. Also, 25 billion for the airline industry and 4 billion to aid cargo carriers as well. Now, the minority leader, Chuck Schumer, Democrat, he also
Come on.
added a provision to ban businesses owned by the
Come on,
president,
Washington
president,
Journal,
members of
C-SPAN.
Congress, and the heads of federal executive departments from receiving loans or investments through the corporate liquidity program. The prohibition also applies. Chuck Schumer, the Democrat, he also added a provision to ban businesses owned by the president, vice president, members of Congress, and the heads of federal executive departments from receiving loans or investments through the corporate liquidity program. The prohibition also applies to their children, spouses, and in-laws. That is from the Hill newspaper, and there's also a ban on stock buybacks as well. Eric Wasson is joining us on the phone. He's a Bloomberg.
So that's what they're talking about. It's $1,200 for people. That this is the proposal is that it's going to be, we're going to put $500 billion just to make sure that like the major corporations don't fucking die, like Coca-Cola and Wendy's and MasterCard. Like thumbs up, bro. Smaller businesses like Frantoni's and Gino's down the block, like that'll, and like your local Chinese food place, they'll be able to get loans. The government won't just mail them a check. They'll have to apply for the loan and eventually pay it back. But the loans will be, normally you can't just be like, yo, can I get $100,000? And they'll no, fuck you, dude, make money. Now they're going to be able to do that. Half of that is going to go to hospitals, and then a little bit more to state and local governments. And then we get $1,200 per person or per family, and you get a little bit more if you're a kid. And then, you know, there's a little bit more, but that's the meat and potatoes of that package that Cuomo right here is saying, like, nah, dude, it's not good enough. It's not enough.
Across the state, which we said it would. Current
I imagine it
numbers,
would be at like
30,000
zero
tested.
interest, is my hope.
12% of those who test positive are hospitalized. 3% of the positives are in ICU. Okay? This is deep breath time again. I'm anxious, I'm nervous. What does it mean? 30,000 tested positive. 12%.
You don't have to pay back the loan depending on how you spend it. Good. Okay, cool.
3% are in ICU. If you look at those 3%, they're going to be predominantly senior citizens, people with underlying illnesses, people with emphysema, people with a compromised immune system. That's what this effort is
MTR.
all about.
I think they only give you up to
All the
3
noise,
extra
all the energy,
checks.
it's about that 3%. Take a deep breath. Now, that 3%.
Scoobs finally has another. Scoobs finally has another person scream, "Eat the rich" with him.
These are our grandparents, and we're going to do everything we can to protect every one of them. And I give the people of the state of New York my word that we're doing it. But we're talking about 3% of the people who tested positive, who we're worrying about.
What's up, Hanko?
Most impacted states, we're 30,000.
Look at
Next closest
this.
state is New Jersey at 3, California 2. This is a really dramatic differential, and this is what I argue to anyone who will listen.
Shouts to Georgia bringing up the rear.
10 times the problem that the next state has, which is New Jersey. You compare us to California, which is larger in terms of population. We have 15 times the problem.
So why is that? Is my question.
Now you have
Does anybody
to ask
know?
yourself, why? Why does New York have such a high number? And again, in the totality, we understand what it means But why does New York have such a high
I
number?
need a banner
And
that
this is
says
my
personal opinion for my
I like to
stream.
make sure that I separate facts from personal opinion. The facts I give you are the best facts I have. And again, the data changes day to day, but I give you exactly what I have on a day-to-day
Jesus
basis.
Christ, G Money, that's
Personal
insane.
opinion. Why does New York have so many more cases than any other state? How can it be? You're 15 times the number of
So
California.
crowded, people won't stay away from
I
each
mean,
other.
It really is breathtaking when you think about it.
That was my
The amount of
initial
cases,
thought
you're 30
process.
times the number of cases.
Yeah.
So why?
I
is
guess
the question
LA is
that
a city
people
of
ask.
drivers, right? We don't
Two answers.
like
Answer
use
one is
public transit.
Because we welcome people from across the globe.
That's
We have people coming here.
It's not
we have people
false.
Who came here from China? Who came here?
It's
from
not
Italy,
false.
Who came here from?
But this
countries
is,
all
you know, he's
around the
campaigning.
globe. We have international travelers who were in China.
No, it's not
who were in
racist.
Italy, and
I don't
who
think this
were
is
in
racist.
Korea,
It's just like,
and who came here. And I have no doubt that the virus was here.
look at how welcome
much
we are. We
earlier
have a
than
whole
we
bunch of
even
viruses
know.
because we let people from all over the
And I
world
have
come
no
in
doubt
and
that the
and
virus
blah
was
blah
here
blah.
much
Like
earlier than it was in any other state.
this is the
Because
opposite.
those
It's
people
he's
come
patting
here
himself on the back for
first.
not being
That's
racist.
the
You know what I
first
mean?
answer.
He's like, we
The
have this
second
because
answer
da, da,
is-
da. And
Because we are close.
A, it's
Because we
because
are
we
close.
welcome everybody.
We talk about
A,
the
also, it's
virus
because we
and how
love
it
each other so
transfers
much.
in a dense area. It's literally because we are close. Because we live.
All right,
close
I'm
to
not
one
saying if Andrew
Because we're
if Andrew
close to one another
Cuomo
on the
is
street.
racist or not. I actually don't know
Because
his
we live in
his
close
past in that
communities.
regard.
Because
I've liked a lot
we're
what
close
a lot of
to
what
one
he's done
another
here for
on
the
the bus.
coronavirus.
We're
He
close to
speaks
one
as if he's
another
not
in the
racist.
restaurant.
You know, I
We're
don't know if
close
he's got
to
a
one
deep
another
sordid
in the
past with
movie
that.
theater.
I'm undereducated
And
about
we
his
have
past on racial
one of
issues,
the
but
most
he
dense,
seems he's a lot better than Bloomberg.
Environments in the country. And that's why the virus communicated the way it did. Our closeness makes us vulnerable. Our closeness makes us vulnerable. That spatial closeness makes us vulnerable. But it's true that your greatest weakness is also your greatest strength. And our closeness is what makes us who we are. That is what New York is. Our closeness is what makes us special. Our acceptance, our openness is what makes us special. It's what makes us feel so connected one to another. It's what makes us so accepting of one another. It is the closeness that makes us the human beings that we are. The closeness is that New York humanity that I think exists nowhere else. The closeness is what makes our sense of community. And there's a gentleman who
I thought he quoted himself.
still
Oh my
look
God.
to for guidance and for leadership and for inspiration. He's not here anymore for you. He's still here for me. But he said things more profound and more beautifully than most other people ever have. And one of the things he said that is so appropriate for today, we believe in a single fundamental idea that describes better than most textbooks and any speech that I could write what a proper government should be. The idea of family, mutuality, the sharing of benefits and burdens for the good of all, feeling one another's pain, sharing one another's blessings, reasonably, honestly, fairly, without respect to race or sex or geography or political affiliation. That is New York. It is that closeness, that concept of family, of community. That's what makes New York, New York. And That's what made us vulnerable here. But it is also that closeness and that connection and that humanity and that sharing that is our greatest strength. And that is what is going to overcome at the end of the day. I promise you that. I can see how New Yorkers are responding. I can see how New Yorkers are treating one another. I see the 6,000 mental health volunteers. I see the 40,000 healthcare workers stepping up. I see the vendors calling me saying, I can help. That's New York. That's New York. And that, my friends, is undefeatable. And I am glad, in some ways, that we're first with this situation, because we will overcome. And we will show the other communities across this country how to do it. We'll be there for them. We want them to be there for us. And we will be there for each other.
Citizens of New Donk City.
As
I
we
defer to
always
my dad, Super Mario.
Any questions?
How does the state decide who is a priority when it comes to ventilators?
We have no anticipation of having to prioritize ventilator usage. Our goal is to have a ventilator for anyone who needs one.
You showed up numbers that showed you're optimistically at 15,000 and you say you're going to need 40,000. So some nitty-gritty questions. Where are those ventilators that have come in from FEMA going? Did you get any commitment?
Dude, I was making that joke the other day, Scoops.
That they've committed already? And what is the plan to increase that number the same way you have a plan to increase hospital beds?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jimmy. First, the ventilators that are coming in, we're putting in the stockpile. We'll deploy from the stockpile as we need them. Literally deploy on a need.
Yeah, they're all sitting like 6 feet away from each other, and it's like, you know, high, you know. I actually don't know how they choose who's allowed in the room.
The beds is within our control, right? There are beds in.
I don't know who gives out press credentials.
And you have to figure out how
you
to
know,
convert
because I was just about to say out loud, only prestigious, right? But what the fuck does that mean?
That is a
obviously NBC's there. I would imagine CNN and Fox and like the big ones. But
how do we build a hospital in Javits?
WAPO, New York Times,
ventilators
yeah.
are different. We don't have them.
There's probably more people off camera as well, but I wouldn't guess like hundreds of them.
No one has a stockpile of these. The federal government has to acquire them the same way we have to acquire them. I'm working with the White House in creative ways to acquire them, getting companies to ramp up, getting companies to retrofit other machines, this rolling deployment methodology, but nobody has that. There is no medical stockpile.
Anybody that picks up a pastrami sandwich for the big guy can get in the room.
2015, where the state suggested, or a task force suggested, maybe New York should increase its stockpile. Any reason that wasn't done?
Jimmy, that's not the fact, and you know it. Read the fact checkers on it.
Oh, get shit on.
There's a resolution called Law and the Life and the Law, that had a chart in 2015 that said if you had the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, you may need X number of ventilators. There is no state in the United States that bought ventilators for the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. The federal government did not buy ventilators for the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Nobody in the world bought ventilators in preparation for a 1918 Spanish flu pandemic.
That's the most New York thing. We did not buy ventilators for the 1918 flu pandemic. Nobody.
Yes. Short answer is yes. Do you know, Dr. Zucker, the number of people who've resolved? Does anyone have that here besides the Hopkins number?
We have hundreds and hundreds of people who have left the hospital and those are individuals who have resolved, and there are many other
Man,
individuals.
that sucks, Mog.
who never even
Yeah,
came to
Andrew
the hospital.
Cuomo has been doing a great job as far as leading this corona situation. And every time I say that, I do include the disclaimer that his stance on Medicare for All, which is deeply tied to this conversation, has not been super stellar.
Well, we were following the CDC guidelines and recommendations that after 7 days, if you were positive,
Medicaid,
after 7
right?
days of being positive, and as long as you were set more than 72 hours.
Like
without
4
symptoms,
days ago,
you
he's
can go back
proposing
to-
Medicaid cuts during the middle.
Give me 1 second, Jess.
I don't know
This is
what
the best.
truthout.org is, but this
Okay,
is a
this is
relevant
Johns
story.
Hopkins.
Like,
It's
in the middle of this
every
shit, he's
case
proposing
since
Medicaid
John-
cuts. So, like,
435,000. 19,000.
ha ha ha.
And again, I'll bet you dollars to donuts.
But he's
Look
been
at those
doing
19,000 senior
a great
citizens,
job
immune
of
system,
organizing with the U.S. Army Corps of
Recoveries,
Engineers, like
100,000,
getting New York ready and up and running,
25%,
and doing a great job of
pending
informing the
300,000.
community and being a leader,
But yes,
which is
the
an important part of
recoveries
being
are
a politician.
recoveries. You get it. The people we've had, people I
Ketchup
know,
and mayo on egg
they
sandwiches?
stay
Nah,
home for
just
2
ketchup, bro.
weeks, And they then test negative. You can test negative in 2 weeks. You can test negative in 2
He's
weeks.
very much a
You
get
can
shit
test
done
negative
kind
in
of
1
guy.
week after you have it. That is going to be the vast, overwhelming number of people. The biggest number, when this is done and we can actually go back and test, the biggest number is going to be people who had it, who resolved, who never knew they had it. That's
Yep.
going to be the biggest number. And the reason we want to get to that test is because then when you talk about restarting the economy, you have a test that says you, Andrew, were exposed to it in February, and by the way, you are recovered. And you
I wish I
have the
could make this
antibodies.
louder.
Go back
I don't
to
know
work.
why it's not loud enough.
Number of ICU cases at this point.
I'm sorry, 1 second. I cut off Jesse. And when I cut off Jesse, then he gets annoyed at me, and then I pay for the next week. Get it?
The number of
I'm
ICU
kidding, but-
cases today is a third of the or a third of the ICU beds that are currently available in the state. Do we still not have a figure as to how much the availability of those beds?
I want to hear the answer to this question.
So it's
She's asking about the availability of ICU beds.
The ICU beds, for our purposes, are beds with ventilators, okay? That's really, we can create today more ICU beds with the ventilators we already have in-house, right? So we have 14,000 ventilators. If
Stonks!
we had to today, we could create
No, so
14,000 ventilated beds.
okay, that
If
we have a number,
open up this
14,000 ventilated beds we could do.
That's correct. I think the term ICU bed in this world that we're living in right now is different. And so a recovery room with a ventilator is an ICU bed. And so
Well
I think
said.
that just fixing on the exact numbers, but we have asked all the hospitals for that information.
Yeah, so you know, I don't want to get too like proud of my city and my state, but like Cuomo is just a get shit done dude from Queens, and like I've really appreciated his candor and just his honesty. He's called it how he said it, and like especially the past 2 days, if you go back and you look at his presser from yesterday or the day before yesterday, it's really like a knockout of the park. And yesterday was it's still good, and I think he's still doing it, but he's clearly campaigning now. You know, the world will go on, and people are hearing and talking about Cuomo. Like, he's campaigning, and I get that. Sure, man. Like, the world moves on, and people in your office are going to tell you to, you know, have a whole big slide here about my personal opinion and you know, how our closeness makes us vulnerable, and here's my father's quote. You know, that's all very grand, but like he really is just like getting it done. He's answering the questions, and his attitude has been very, very positive, or very, very good for the people, I think. And then, like I said, the Army Corps of Engineers actually dropped his name. The Army Corps of Engineers. I showed a video yesterday where they're going into like hospitals and college dorms and converting them into hospitals. That's the game plan. And Cuomo was like right there, ready to go. Like, what can I do? What can I physically move and shit? And I respect that in a politician. Like, I think that's important. You know?
We did when
Oh,
we
he's
ramped up
1
the whole
million
disaster
% going to run
emergency
for president.
management system. We have
Absolutely.
multiple stockpiles.
Absolutely. I don't know
We
if it'll
have
be
these
20,
placed
like,
in multiple
you know,
stockpiles. We have
primaries are
New
going.
City,
2020,
Minnesota,
yeah. But
we have
2024,
we have
without a
stockpile
doubt.
on Long Island, stockpile in Mid-Hudson Valley, stockpile in Albany, stockpile in my basement, just in case the stockpile.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough.
We have the
I mean,
ICU
the LA
ventilators
Marathon
in
went
the
down,
stockpiles. We've
was
not
was
brought
on
from the
like
stockpile to a hospital.
fucking
We
the
don't have a
4th.
hospital who was called up and said, "I need a ventilated bed."
How concerned are you?
Where are these
How
reserve
concerned are
medical
you?
providers being deployed? Are they being deployed to the front lines? Or are they being,
I did see that, William. I didn't see that NYU is letting med students graduate 3 months early. That's pretty crazy. I did see that medical interns are being upgraded to residents right away, which is insane. But this is like you're being drafted, right? Like if you have medical training, you are extremely valuable. Get out there and go. You're on the front lines. Like we're fighting a war against a virus.
For the new beds.
We need
You don't have
medicine.
Dormitory, 200 beds. You don't have, now you need staff.
And also like Lyra said, this is the best training. You know, this is a world-ending pandemic, right? The world's not going to end. Sorry, folks. But this is a big fucking deal. So if you're in healthcare and you're like, you know, to
now deploying the reserves.
like maybe zoom in too far, zoom out. I don't know what term I want to use, but like if your goal is to learn medicine, this is the show. What's up, Abs?
Doctor?
We're looking at those issues as well. There are some concerns that have been raised, but we as we mentioned in a previous press conference, the governor said that we should look at our rules and regulations and adapt accordingly. So we're going to do that as well.
We did waive, I was on the phone with all the hospital administrators. The Department of Health, I'm going to say this in a nice way, don't worry. Department of Health has multiple regulations to run the best health system in the United States of America. And those regulations make it so. The regulations can sometimes get in the way of expedition.
It certainly depends on the type of person you are.
And mobilization.
Is it
So
Pellin?
we said, in this case, we're going to relax many of the regulations so they can staff up, they can
This is what
capacity.
you guys are
We
asking
asked the
about.
hospital to double capacity. We have all sorts of space regulations. You have to, so you need flexibility for them to do what we're asking them to do.
Concerned are you if the cure is worse than the disease mentality?
Here we go.
I'm confused.
No, answer the crazy man.
If I need to work with New York City, but Rikers is run by New York City. Did you have a point?
No, I was just going to say, New York City is already doing that on their own, so it's not something that they need us on. But we talk to New York City 77 times a day, so if that conversation needs to be had, it'll be had.
78 to be honest.
Who is she? Who is she? I like her.
No.
That woman gets shit done. In 2 sentences, I'm a fan.
You need to be a congressperson. You need to be a senator. I've communicated with all of them. I understand the Washington bureaucracy. I was there. But I passed bills when I was HUD secretary. I know how hard it is, but I also know how high the stakes are here. You look at the loss in the revenue, what you guys have been talking about to me. How do you do a state budget with that dramatic loss in revenue? And Rob Mujica has been saying, well, the federal government is going to pass a stimulus package that delivers additional funding to state governments. Okay, here's the package. It gives us $3.8 billion. The hole is as high as $15 billion. How do you plug a $15 billion hole with $3.8 billion? You don't.
You don't.
How do you respond to the mentality out there, the philosophy that the cure is worse than the disease, and the suggestion by the president that he might want to open up the country by Easter?
Look, I think it's part.
You guys can hear the questions,
part
right?
Language, right? Nobody will say it is sustainable to keep the economy closed. It is not sustainable. We all get that. China got it, South Korea got it, et cetera. That's point one. Point two, everyone agrees, I believe, in this state, we do everything we can to save a life. We are not going to triage and say, well, these were old people, these were vulnerable people, they had to die sometime soon anyway, so let's move on. I don't believe any American believes that. I know New Yorkers don't believe that. And as governor of the state of New York, I can swear to you, I would never do that. So then you have two parallel thoughts. You have to get the economy running, and you have to protect every life that you can. I believe there's a more refined strategy than we are now talking about. I don't think it's binary. I don't think you close down the whole economy, which is what we did. I did too. And then open up the whole society to business as usual. We now have learned that there's a risk stratification quotient. Younger people have less risk. People who had the virus and are resolved have less risk. Start that economy by bringing in those recovered people, those younger people who are less at risk, and start moving that machine that way. Start restarting the
Changing the way society is set up is such a wild thought experiment to many people.
To the extent you have a young person who's going out to the park, not playing basketball, because they're not allowed to do that, but they're going out, they're talking to friends, etc.
Yeah, this is live right now, Aculus. This is the governor of New York, who's been doing a rather excellent job. New York has 10 times the amount of cases anywhere else in the United States, 30,000. The closest is Jersey with 3.
The economy, and I think that's what we have to. That's what we have to work through.
Feds roll back their restrictions. Do you?
Go ahead.
Well, if the feds roll back their restrictions, does that affect you? I mean, do you automatically roll back? Do you keep in place according to your own speed?
The federal government has done guidelines. They call them guidelines because they are guidelines. And then states can follow the guidelines. States can
they call them guidelines because they are guidelines.
To fit their specific circumstance. There's no doubt that New York has a different and bigger problem than
I really like the way he speaks so plainly is hilarious to me, but also like so fucking necessary. Also, it's you know, it's my style, so.
Numbers and one of the most intense economies. So that all has to be taken into consideration, and I don't think there is any cookie cutter.
Where would you start, Scoobs? Like, how would you, you know, I don't know how an economy would work, and I've done zero thought. Like, if we have a half hour to think about it, maybe I have an answer. But I've done zero thought into how you would set up an economy without, like, shutting everything down ruins shit, for sure.
What do you make of the president's team saying that
And it's not antagonistic, by the way. I'm like curious.
And second question, will you self-quarantine since you were in New York City yesterday?
Self-quarantine in New York State?
The president's team said anyone who traveled to New York City should self-quarantine for 2 weeks.
In New York?
In New York City.
No, I don't think, if you were in New York City, you must quarantine in New York State. You don't have to go back to New York City to quarantine. I'm going to quarantine in New York State.
What do you make of that dictum, and what will you
That is
self-quarantine?
a medical advisory. Most important thing in life is to know what you don't know. I don't know medicine. I would turn to the doctor.
So I think you need to follow the CDC guidelines. The CDC guidelines recommend that you stay a distance away, social distancing as well, whether it's in New York or not. And this is beyond New York, as the governor has mentioned. It's not just in New York.
The line is the reference to the stock market and the overall economy.
I would not follow that. I believe that you should follow the guidelines in general, that you should social distance. And if you were in New York and you go somewhere else, These cases are all over the country. It's not just New York. We are at the forefront, as the governor has said, but it's elsewhere.
Last question, because you're so polite and you wait and you.
To rate the budget, is New York going to have to resort to emergency loans? If so, what would that look like?
I love this photographer, by the way. This guy's always bumbling around.
If we don't get more funding.
I don't know who that photographer is, but I like him a lot.
We write the budget.
So how do I find the names of the people up here? Because I'm interested in finding out more about this woman to his left.
I know the politics of.
Yeah, that's Murphy.
Play nice and don't put any pressure on any other.
6 months, Pog.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Angelo.
Otherwise they'll say you have sharp elbows and you don't play nice in the sandbox. This is not a time to play nice in the sandbox. I represent the people of the state of New York. I get paid to represent them. I'm an attorney. I'm an advocate. I'm a New Yorker born and bred. I'm New York tough. If you are hurting the people of the state, I'm going to do everything I can do to defend them. And I'm going to fight for the people of New York to the best of my ability. And we need more federal help than this bill gives us. The House bill would have given us $17 billion. The Senate bill gives us $3 billion. I mean, that's a dramatic difference. I'm going to go to work. Thank you very much, guys.
He's ended every So this woman, who is this woman? How do I find out who this woman is? She was asked like one thing. Somebody asked something, and she like cut off Cuomo and was like, "We already told you, bitch. Shut the fuck up." Like not in that language, obviously, but yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, Kate. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Atlanta, when it comes to like preparedness, they don't exactly lead the charge. Yeah, we've been impressed with Cuomo for the most part. Let's see. This is Texas. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
So this morning we got a text from a politician, and if you host a talk show, you get a lot of texts from politicians, all pushing their own perspective in their program and spinning you. But this one was very different. It was from the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan
Melissa
Patrick, who's been
DeRosa.
on this show before. He said something very long and thoughtful, and
it will be because American heroes won this fight.
What's happening?
All the Senate can do is to give them the resources to do it, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Shut up, dude.
This quote. I don't pretend to be speaking for everyone 70 plus, but I think there are lots of grandparents out there who would agree with me that I want my grandchildren to live in the
this
America
guy.
I did. I want them to have a shot at the American dream. But right now, this virus, which all the experts say that 98% of all people will survive, is killing our country in another way. It could bring about a total economic collapse and potentially a collapse of our society. So I say let's give this a few more days or weeks, but after that, let's go back to work and go back to living. Those who want to shelter in place can still do so, but we can't live with this uncertainty. Lieutenant Governor Patrick agreed to join us tonight. We're happy that he did. Lieutenant Governor, thanks so much for coming on. So you made clear, and I wanted you to say this and not me, but you made clear in this letter.
This is the same Dan Patrick.
You're in the category of
as
people
talk
who
show
face
guy, right?
Real risk from this disease, and I thought that kind of put it into perspective a little. Would you explain that?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about talk show hosts, but
yeah, I turned 70 next week, Tucker, and I sent you a note about a week ago that something has been really heavy on my heart since this started, and so I'm automatically in a high risk pool.
Dan Patrick used to run a sports
Lieutenant
show.
Governor, I work 12 or 15 hours
Dan
a
Patrick
day,
show.
mostly from home now, but I travel when I need to. I'm living smart, listening to the president, the CDC guidelines, like all people should.
Tucker
I'm not
Carlson looks
living
like
in
an
fear of
animatronic.
COVID-19. What I'm
Five
living
Night
in
at
fear of is
Tucker's,
what's happening
dude.
to this country. And Tucker, no one reached out to me and said, as a senior citizen, are you willing to take a chance on your survival in exchange for keeping the America that all America loves for your children and grandchildren? And if that's the exchange, I'm all in. And that doesn't make me noble or brave or anything like that. I just think there are lots of grandparents out there in this country, like me, I have 6 grandchildren, that what we all care about and what we love more than anything are those children. And I want to, live smart and see through this, but I don't want the whole country to be sacrificed. And that's what I see. I've talked to hundreds of people, Tucker, and just in the last week, and making calls all the time, and everyone says pretty much the same thing, that we can't lose our whole country. We're having an economic collapse. I'm also a small businessman. I understand it, and I talk with business people all the time, Tucker.
That's insane, man. That's just insane. That's just insane. I enjoy this one. We'll like that one. Yeah, straight up, the elderly don't work. We already give them money once a month. They already paid into it, blah, 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 blah. But like, yeah, man, it's wild and crazy. And like I said, I have never thought in a different direction. So the idea that the system is broken is like clear and apparent, but I have never had like done the thought experiment to like figure out or think about like why, etc. Like Scoobs is very much into that idea, and I'm here for it. I would might do some like looking into that tonight. Like obviously we look at capitalism when compared to socialism all the time, but like if things shut down, like that sucks, man. And let me preface the statement by I'm sitting here just so be it. I'm not saying we all should just, when Easter comes, let's go to church. Like, no, I'm not saying that at all. But I don't know the alternative. So
today,
5 p.m. Eastern, Trump's going to get on. We get to listen to that guy. So, is this guy sleeping? Bro, wake up. Bro, you're on camera. Bro, wake up, dude. You're not moving. This dude's just straight up not moving. Okay, there he is. I was afraid. I thought he was actually sleeping for a second. Exactly, Zero. That's a big point here. There's a difference between capitalism and late stage capitalism, and I think that's a problem with capitalism inherently. Is that I am a fan of capitalism, and obviously late stage capitalism is not something I'm a fan of, because I don't think you can say you're a fan of late stage capitalism without being A, biased because you are one of the benefactors of late stage capitalism, or B, just like a soulless wretch, speaking of which. But the idea of having competing businesses works for a while until like, and the problem is that capitalism reminds me of like a poorly developed game with a lot of choices. Like, you're playing a dungeon crawler and there's 20 weapons. You can use nunchucks or a sword or a shield or a mace or a flail or a gun or a hammer or spells or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the game's really fun because you have all these weapons competing with each other and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no real, it's fun because of all this choice. But then when you get really good at it and you figure out all of the when you figure out all of the in-betweens, well then I don't need to use any of those because they're fucking bad. I have figured out that the sword is the best DPS and I will only use the sword. And that's where we get to like, super corporation level, where we have mastered the tax evasion legality and the donation rates and all this, and like we will sacrifice this for that and blah blah blah. That's where it gets late stage capitalism. That's where it becomes like late stage, and that's where it becomes problematic. Which I guess if you have something that leads to that point, it's inherently problematic, eh?
14 days ago, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak to be a global pandemic.
Yeah.
Maryland had 9.
Yeah, exactly. The S tier of the meta.
We immediately moved toward an all-appointment system at the Motor Vehicle Administration, and the Maryland Health Benefits Exchange established a special
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think, I don't know how realistic, because it sounds so simple. Cuomo's answer is to gradually do it. Like, you go and you get a test and you have it, and then you quarantine, and then you don't have it anymore, and you are resistant, so you go and you fucking go to work. And maybe you're the only person at Subway, but like, check, dude. And then we slowly phase people in. That makes so much sense that it has, like, why isn't that the unanimous vote? Like, there's no downside to it, right? Maybe it's slower than we'd like to get back, but that can't, like, what? It makes too much sense for people to be against it, so it can't work, right? We're not at fascism yet. We are getting there, and that's something, like, I'm very careful with the verbiage I use, and I'm very careful to, like, not, you know, and I support the I don't want to use the word radical, but I support that mindset. Like, Scoobs is very much more advanced in that direction than I am, as far as, like, you know, being anti-corporation and anti-capitalism and all that stuff. And I'm here for those conversations. But people of that mindset very often, like, call, like, you know, the U.S. a fascist country, or Trump a fascist, and, like, Trump has fascist ideologies, quite obviously, but, like, he is not an authoritarian. Hopefully we don't have to add yet to the end of that statement, right? Hopefully. And it's important, and it's important to use words intentionally, right? Everybody's familiar with how literally and figuratively have kind of switched, right? I'm literally dying. No. But, like, language has evolved and blah, 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 blah. If we continue to call people here fascists, well, what do we call when there is a General Butt Naked or a Mussolini or a Adolf Hitler? Like, when that happens, if that happens, what do we call that person? What's going to happen is everybody's going to be like, fascism, 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 and the boomers that don't want to listen to you anyway are going to say, well, you've been saying fascist, everybody since George W. Bush, so I'm not going to listen to you, and then they come for you. Ha ha ha. And, like, sure, that's a little oversimplified, but the power of words is important. I have no idea if what this guy is saying is good or bad, but he does look rather thumb-like. General Butt Naked. General Butt Naked was to call him a fascist, I guess, is disingenuous. He was a leader, like, sub-Saharan Africa, I think the Democratic Republic of the Congo, like, just one of the African warlords that, you know, murdered all his people and ate weird shit.
As chairman of the National Governors Association, I convened and led a call with all of my fellow governors across the country. We agreed to 5 immediate priorities that we requested of the federal government. First, we agreed to push for dedicating at least 50% of the
people exist is.
We second increase.
Where are you, Achilles? Being fined and jailed for going outside. I mean, that
test kits, ventilators, and other supplies
is scary, and I don't. You know, how far are we? How much power are we willing to give the government? Right? Is a dangerous question to ask and answer and difficult, and I'm honestly not equipped at the moment to really go, like, to really subscribe to something black or white. Which is already scary, because I think, like, prior to this situation, I would have been like, fuck off, government, get out of everything I do. I want the freedom to do whatever I want as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. And that's the problem, is that by going out, you are hurting somebody. And that is what government exists to do. Government exists to create order and civility, but what is that? It's to protect people from each other. Should the government protect people from themselves is a question that we're asking ourselves in the last 30 years, maybe 20 years, when we look at things like giant soda bans in New York City, right? We look at, like, that drug laws are how we protect people from themselves, right? How far we want to go into that, yeah.
Through phase 1 of our hospital surge plan, 900 beds had been made immediately available.
You're in Oklahoma.
Floor.
And see, that's the thing, and that's the thing is that if
2 days ago,
if everybody did the right thing, if everybody self-quarantined and didn't go outside, then we would be sitting in a world where everybody, and this all ended, everybody would go, see, we told you, because nothing happened. This is a baseball game, right? The best possible baseball game, nothing happens. A perfect game. 27 up, 27 down.
that we're seeing in some other states.
Nothing happens. Nobody hits a ball. That's the best possible outcome. And that's what we're looking for Corona. They're not to be in effect. And that's tough to gauge. You know?
Thousands of Marylanders. Yet in spite of these aggressive actions, this crisis continues to escalate at a rapid pace.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is with age groups is that as a young person, we are less likely to die from it, but we are just as likely to have complications, and we are just as likely, this is the important part, to spread it. It can even be like,
which is the largest one-day rise to date.
I think it's HPV or herpes or something where like you can have zero symptoms but just be a carrier. Mono acts the same way, where you can be a mono carrier, make out with somebody and give them mono even though you're not coughing. Like you can also be that and you don't know, you know? The economy shutting down is much more of a worry than a virus. No, it's not. It just simply isn't. So shutting the economy down, obviously hurts us, and we will probably have a rubber band just as bad as the Great Recession, the one from 2007, 2008, if not more so. It'd be worrisome if it rivaled the Great Depression, and that's kind of what we're talking about. But we are also talking about losing 3 million Americans, which would also affect the economy as well. So it's not quite 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, but I think that the people that want to go back to work by Easter and just fuck it, sacrifice our grandparents so that we can still buy stock in Toyota, well, let's say Ford, that's not the educated response, no disrespect intended. When the surface level, it is very surface level, it is very reactionary, and I'm not shitting on Trump here, I absolutely will, but this is just a realistic assertion as watching the last 3 years. Our government right now is short-term thinkers. They are immediate, they are reactionary, and they are surface level. And that's the type of response that going back to work would be, when the result would be much more like having that many people die. Funeral directors, awesome. Michael C. Hall is going back to 6 Feet Under and taking his old rollback. Dope. But when just picture this, not only one person dies, not only does that person die and their money is no longer being injected into the economy, but that person was the breadwinner for this household, right? And now this household, well, mom will maybe get a check or whatever, but this household no longer can buy the Nikes and the Adidas for their kids, and so now their kids are buying Keds, and that that snowballs and effects.
Vigilant and continues doing their
I do think that until I'm lacking food and basic necessities, and that's where the government comes in, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, trust me, I am going to be in that situation most likely sooner than you, Achilles. But it's just the reality of the situation, and frankly, I don't know what they do. I don't know what happens. You know, I don't know how they handle that, because they're not going to, you're just going to have a whole bunch of homeless people. That's the opposite of what they're trying to do right now.
I have formally submitted a request for a presidential disaster declaration.
White Dragon illustrates it well. If 3 million people die, that's a lot of money not being spent. It's also a shit ton of houses to flood a market that nobody wants. Families now have to carry 2 house payments, don't have jobs.
As disaster, unemployment insurance, hazard mitigation, and emergency protective measures.
And food shortage, food shortages is not at all realistic. In fact, here's something. Don't go outside. But if you are going outside for necessary stuff, right, and you're in the supermarket, take a picture of the stocked shelves and tweet it. Everybody is posting all these alarmist photos. We do not have a food shortage. Like, shit is very bad. Look at this dude on the left. He's really telling you how bad this is. But we are not without food. We're not without water. And now I understand what Oculus says. Like, if we shut the economy down, nobody goes to work, I have no money, I can't go buy food or water. I get that. The bread lines. There are lines for bread right now, but you got to pay at the end of them. This is a time where, and like I said, I believe in a free market economy. I believe in capitalism to a certain extent. I'm not a fan of late stage capitalism, and I'm not an economist, and so there's been conversation about what exactly late stage capitalism is versus, you know, no qualifier capitalism, whatever you want to call it. But I'm a fan of the free market. I've liked how you know, it works for the most part. I think poor people, like I am poor, that sucks. I grew up poor, that sucks. But like, you know, you can't pick yourself up by your bootstraps and become a billionaire. Absolutely not. And that's where it gets a little murky. But the idea of starting your own business and becoming a relatively successful middle class, upper middle class individual, I'm here for that conversation. But this moment is an outlier. You can't, when things like this happen, you have to react accordingly. This is a time where you have to be socialist, in my opinion. You got to just give the people what they need to stem the bleeding. The government exists to help us and et cetera. Like, to just, if the banks are too big to fail, like the people are too big to fail. So that's something, like I said, I do support Bernie for what it's worth, but I'm not one of these raging, crazy, like, you know, open, just money shouldn't exist and all that stuff. I recognize the lack of pragmatism to some of those approaches, but right now the government has $1 gazillion, dude. Like, in World War II, all of the government made all these companies make tanks. We made an airplane a day. We made an airplane a day in World War II. We can't just like, you know, not to sound all kumbaya, but rally together and make the companies shut the fuck up about profits and make a bunch of, you know, shit to fix this stuff and give people peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Coca-Colas. You know? This is a moment when you gotta, like, pause it.
Yesterday, I toured a site of a field hospital in the Baltimore Convention Center.
Damn.
The National Guard is ready. It's a great partnership between the University of
Man discovers restocking.
Medical Center and Johns Hopkins. The Guard working with a number of our state agencies.
Cuban supermarkets are fully stocked. Vietnamese government has been providing free food. Like, that's what it's interesting because I think, like, so I believe in, like, social safety nets. Like, we should help the homeless, etc. But a world where universal basic income is something that when I heard Andrew Yang talk about it, it was the first time I heard it mentioned, and I was appalled at the idea. It was like, you're really going to give these people money for doing nothing? And I have since come around to the idea of it, but I think a UBI is just an acknowledgement that the system is kind of flawed in and of itself. But that's a whole conversation for another day. My point being is that this is a moment in time that shit's different. And we have to react differently. The fact that, you know, this virus is so incredibly how it works, and so, like, that's not everyday life. And I think that, you know, bringing the allusion to defense and war is a very American thought process, people will say, but I think it's also just a global, like, things are realer when there are people bombing us, when there are people shooting at us, when there are people flying planes into our buildings. Things are different. When 9/11 is something extremely close to me, and watching New York City come together and work post 9/11 was, you know, Zoomers will meme and mock, but it was a thing of beauty. Like, all of the people were working together and all this good shit, right? And we are not having the same effect with the coronavirus. If coronavirus were a bunch of you know, people from a country, not saying anything in particular on purpose, but if coronavirus was a bunch of people from a country and we could put a face on it like we did with Osama bin Laden, people would be so much more about this. They would understand, because a bomb hitting the Pentagon is so much easier to see and not make shit up. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams, LOL. But like, that was so much more tangible is the word, right? And like, that is, this virus is intangible, and that hurts people a little bit. If the rulers can do whatever they want when things are different, then they will be predisposed to tell you that things are different. Yes, I agree, and there is a very big world of slippery slope with authoritarianism. But things are different right now. Like, and this is where you can't. This is where I don't like being a magic rules lawyer. Rules lawyer is the term we use in Magic cards, right? Where and it's encouraged there, and it's the epitome of, well, technically, you know, it's how companies get out of paying taxes by it's cruise lines. That's the example where, like, you know, well, technically they're not registered. They fly a flag from Turks and Caicos, so they don't have to pay American taxes. Even though everybody that fucking works there is American, they all speak English. Like, you know what I mean? That's we have to draw a line somewhere. There is a human element that people often forget when they look at the law. You know, they look at the law, and I'm here. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Most of what you have said, Achilles, has not been incorrect. You know, I fully 100% believe, and I understand why you would be, and I don't want to pin you as scared or frightened. Trepidatious is perhaps the best word. Cautious, right? If rulers can do whatever they want when things are different, then they will always tell you that things are different so they could do whatever they want. That's something that was actually very frightening to me when they were talking about postponing some of the voting, specifically with the primaries. Wasn't too concerned about that. We can vote by mail. We can figure it out. But the last thing we need is the president to come out and be like, too dangerous to vote for 2020, president. I'm going to be president for another 4 years. We'll see if the pandemic's here in 2024. Like, that would be frightening, right? And I'm here for that. But
individuals and businesses across Maryland continue to step up to help aid in this massive effort to slow the spread of COVID-19 and to help their neighbors. There are hundreds. I just want to give a shout out to a couple, including Sagamore Spirit Distillery.
conversation in chat is about not needing money. Could we go back to a barter system? Because Achilles brings up an extremely good point. Money allows indirect exchange. How do I get a gooder service for someone that doesn't need my services?
With the plans to make much more to meet the escalating demand caused by the crisis. Last weekend, Marlin Steel Wire Products, another Baltimore-based manufacturing company, had their workers fulfill a huge rush order to make stainless steel COVID-19 test tube racks.
I encourage open conversation and discourse, Achilles. I think it's important for us to speak, especially with those that we disagree with, as long as we can approach the conversation with some sort of, I don't want to use the word civility because everybody rolls their eyes, but civility.
Department of Education has some major announcements to make regarding the Maryland public schools and child care facilities across the state. But before I turn the podium
also, without money, how do I donate to Nico?
To speak directly to Maryland's
good question.
Parents, teachers, and students, I know how incredibly difficult and confusing this
There's a giant problem with confusing morality and legality, and that's something that I see a lot of people.
When they'll see their students again.
I am very much against political tribalism, and I don't like to use terms like the left or the right. I don't like to say the Democrats, the Republicans. I think speaking with a wide brush is generally a problem. I will say that most people that support the die for your economy type deal, I think that most people that support the idea that the right tends to grab their morality from legality. I'm sorry. What's up? It's Tom H. Hypocrite Battinger. But
State Board of Education, a whole lot of people working across the state around the clock to try to come up with.
see, that's the thing is that I idealize a world where we can, you know, have what Moginar and Scoops are talking about. But like Ekelis said, how do I buy something from somebody that needs nothing I have? You know, do I have to, like, okay, I want to buy a new Nintendo Switch, right? Okay, so I go to the guy who has got a Nintendo Switch because he went to Nintendo and traded them a bunch of video cards that they needed to make Nintendo Switches with, and in turn they give him a bunch of Nintendo Switches. So he's Nintendo Switch man. So I want a Nintendo Switch. The fuck do I have, dude? You want you want a beer? No? Okay. Shit. You want a cup of tea? No? Oh, okay. You want some natural refined rolling papers for tobacco use only? No? Okay. How about a dark ritual card from Revised? Is that cool? Well, shit. I guess I can't play Animal Crossing. Like that becomes an issue. And if I'm being a fucking moron and there's a solution, like I'm down to be educated. But I think therein lies the problem. You know, like I think like therein lies the problem. But if we want to nationalize OnlyFans, now that's something I can get behind. Who's gonna start? So Scoobs. So here's the deal. OnlyFans will work like jury duty. You're gonna get a letter in the mail, and they're gonna tell you that you have to take some nudies and then mail them to the government. Okay, so Manifest Zero, Scoobs, and Santeria, you guys have to send nudies to me, and then we will distribute them to the masses completely for free. And then next month, we'll draw 3 other names, and we will distribute. That's the game plan, okay? We're going to nationalize OnlyFans. We're going to nationalize OnlyFans. G-Money, you're up next. Your nudies would be worth exactly the same as everybody else's, Santeria, because equal opportunities, right? The problem is, like, Santeria's hot. Scoobs is hot depending on the day and how much he's had to drink. Manifest Zero, let's just assume. Sure, thumbs up. But what about when these 3 people get selected? I don't know if I'm opening my mail that month. Like, you know? I don't know if I'm opening my mail that month, you know?
We are hoping to increase this capacity to more than 2,500 spaces in the coming days. Essential personnel.
I really don't open my mail, dude. My mailbox is 0.7 miles away. I'm not kidding. And like, yes, I should get out and walk more. But like, right now I shouldn't. And it's 0.7 miles away.
1-877-261-0060. We will provide additional guidance and information immediately.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. Somebody out here is watching this lady and really loving it.
I am so grateful for our educators.
Honestly, my mail is all advertisements from this pizzeria I ordered from once. Whatever new Chinese food place opens up in the same place that the last Chinese food place closed down in. I actually have a thought process. I've been living here 5 years, and there's this Chinese food place. I'm not making this up. Called Yummy Top. It's called Yummy Top. Okay. And it has opened up Before that was Happy Chinese. Before that was Lucky Star. And before that was something else. Dude, I'm telling you, man.
Thank you, Dr. Sam. I want to give a special
Where's the
shout out to
logo?
things you just mentioned about opening up the centers where we're making sure that the kids get fed. I had the opportunity to visit one of them yesterday in Baltimore City.
Wow, this is
And I remember when it was announced,
unappetizing. This does not look tasty at all. Why would you fucking put this up here? I am no longer hungry. I am no longer hungry in any way, shape, or form. The logo is just like they got it from clip art, and I can't find it. But yeah, it's called Yummy Top, and I don't. It's so funny. Nobody down here got it. I think that's I like it's not a term they use down here. For those of you out of the loop, top is a slang term for oral sex.
I believe ours is actually more effective. There was a thing came out yesterday that said we were the third most aggressive state in the country, and we're not nearly as affected yet as places like New York and California.
Yeah, no, I'm very afraid of authoritarian socialism.
Ordering people in their homes, we're just encouraging them to stay in their homes, and we're keeping them from going in large groups, and we're keeping only the business.
I mean, right now we have a capitalist society mixed with socialism. I think really we just have to move we've got what's it called? We've got this going on. We've got well, no, I don't want to put capitalism and socialism on opposite sides because, like I said, I'm undereducated about that sort of thing, and that might just be not correct. But right now we have a free market economy, except for some things, right? Like utilities, not free market, that's socialist, right? Like public school, not free market, that's socialist, right? You go to Mineola School, you can't choose to go to Roslyn, you got to live in Roslyn to go to Roslyn. So you go to Mineola when you live in Mineola, right? That's social. So like healthcare, that's capitalist. Maybe we just move that line over a little bit, and we make the healthcare a little bit more, and then we can get radical, right? Like, what about food? Maybe you're just guaranteed. Maybe you're guaranteed Eggo waffles every morning and a Hot Pocket every night. And if you go to work, you can go buy yourself a steak. Cool. But if you want to smoke weed and jack off and eat Hot Pockets for a living, go for it, dude. You awesome. People are opposed. That's the big conversation about UBIs, that people won't do anything, and there are actually studies showing that people that get paid for doing nothing will actually be more productive because they're doing something they enjoy doing specifically, rather than just going to Wendy's because they have to. That's a separate conversation once again. But the idea that we can kind of exist at a base level, should the government provide a safety net? Should you be able to exist? Sure. And the amount of people that are gonna idiocracy themselves, go away, Burton, won't overall bring us down.
It would be wonderful if we get to the point where we prevent the curve and we can. But obviously, we're not going to send kids back if things are unsafe.
The Fed is talking about being able to buy equity stakes in troubled companies. That's the definition of fascism. Is it? Government-owned companies? Nationalizing a company? Wasn't NASA a private company?
Decisions in the future, like the first time, they said.
If the government owned SpaceX, would that be bad? Would that be good? Honest question, not a retort.
But I think right now the decision is to spend those 4 weeks trying to.
Everybody speaks very highly about Finland and Norway and the Nordic region in general. They have a very they're very high on the happiness index, whatever that means. What is it specifically about Finland that appeals? Because I know they have socialist healthcare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That said, people were very unhappy with Holland's response to the
55 governors did. We did not get
situation right now.
We said that the immediate already expended dollars that we needed was about $150 billion, which is in the Senate package. This is for all the states. They put the immediate $150 billion in the Senate. It hasn't passed the House yet. We're hoping it will this morning. That does include some money that Maryland needs. Not nearly enough for us or the other states. And We'll be talking about that further this afternoon with all the governors, and we'll be talking about it further.
That was not my computer. That was whoever's streaming this. That's kind of funny. Yeah, healthcare being owned by private companies is just a problem. Like that's an issue. You know, I am very, you know, I'm willing to be educated. I'm willing to turn blah 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 blah. Most of the time, this is no. Healthcare does not need to be privatized. Like the idea that I can go to a better doctor is nice, but like the idea that there's a better doctor, like, you know, I'm not gonna. It's that is. I'm not gonna say it's fake, but you know, you can't go to McDonald's to get a surgery. If you have a surgeon, they generally know what they're doing, especially in America where we have strict like rules about who can be a doctor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I do like the schooling system in Finland. I know that they treat their teachers almost like lawyers, as in how they are regarded in the country. Teachers need a master's in what they're teaching, but the subject they want to teach. Teaching is looked at as a very high skill. Like, it requires a lot of schooling, and so people look up on teachers. Right now, I mean, I'm friends with teachers, but people that are doctors and lawyers will look at a 5th grade teacher and be like, and they'll get into their little, you know, Honda Prelude and drive away covered in sparkles like Zooey Deschanel. But
there's reagents, there's
quite frankly, the youth are our future, quite obviously. And an educated country is an intelligent country, and an educated country from the bottom grows up into being something great. It's like we forgot to water our plants.
And an inventory of exactly what everyone has and what they need, and we're trying to help them all get more.
That's a very big point that Nothing Absolute brings up. I used your full name there. Nothing Absolute. I mean, like talk show. That's a good point that Abs brings up. People don't like their healthcare. They like their providers. Like, you know, the difference between, you know, your doctor. Also, that's something that a lot of my international friends, like, I don't have a doctor, and I'm a bad example. I'm a bad example. Like my father had a doctor. My father had a lot of health problems, so he had a couple of doctors. But like Dr. Amico, that was his doctor. He had a general practice doctor that he went to like be a doctor, and they knew each other for years on years, and that's an appropriate way to be a doctor. A lot of people don't have that, especially my generation, because we didn't grow up with that type of atmosphere. We grew up with, honestly, a sterile corporate atmosphere where, like, you know, I go to the wellness center and whoever's there at work for the shift checks me out, you know? That's what we that's what we kind of get. So the idea that, like, we don't even have our doctors anymore is kind of crazy. They're releasing 300 prisoners from Rikers, potentially hope to release 800 more. Yeah, no, Rikers has become really, really shitty. Rikers has become very, very rough. We don't give a damn about our educators. It is very upsetting. My mother works in the school system. A lot of my friends work in the school system, public school system. I was planning on being a teacher at one point in time. I have so much respect for teachers and people that educate. I think education is arguably the single most important thing on the planet. Because anything that is important, you need to be educated about. And learning how to learn is something that we learn in school. We don't just learn what we learn how to learn what we learn, and that's very important. And so the disrespect towards teachers has been very disgusting.
We can now call it a bill.
I'm interested.
That puts workers first, not corporations. That has a Marshall Plan for hospitals, and that has accountability, transparency, and watchdogs over much of the land.
G-Money's dad was a smoker, and his doctor said, if you don't quit, you got to find a new doctor, and that caused him to quit. That's funny.
Mostly now empty corridors.
Like, because especially, like, think about it. They tell you all the time growing up, to be honest to your doctor, because and you could always, use your inferences, right? Whenever somebody's trying to, whenever somebody's like shoving something in you, that means that they're trying to counteract it. So the amount of times we've been told to be honest with your doctor, even if it's embarrassing, they've seen it all before, is clearly because nobody's honest with their doctor. When you're 17 and you're having trouble breathing, you need to tell your doctor if you smoke crystal meth or not. Like, when you have a weird illness, you need to tell your doctor how much cocaine you did that weekend or how much weird sex you're having. Like, you need to be able to show your doctor your ball sack and be like, hey, is this normal? And that's like, that's a problem because people feel weird about that shit. But if you have a regular doctor, then that's not that weird. And, the corporatization of this is all... We are boots on the ground level talking about people being comfortable talking about their boobs to their doctor, right? And we are so distant from the fact that it costs $1 gazillion, but it's all part of the same problem in that the healthcare industry is an industry in and of itself.
To improve this legislation was worth taking an extra day or two, improving it, after the Republican leader just put it down without consulting us and tried to say, take it or leave it. Now, like all compromises, this bill is far from perfect.
See, Abs, here's the thing. I haven't, like I said, I don't take care of myself. And if it was easier, I probably would. But I brush my teeth every day, twice. I haven't gone to the dentist in fucking eons.
Starting yesterday morning, we all
there are definitely issues with my teeth. I don't have any cavities. Gums aren't bleeding. I've chipped a tooth here or there. I have a permanent brace that's kind of weird right now. I don't go to the fucking dentist. I've been to the doctor down here 3 times. I got hospitalized at Worlds.
That the legislation has been improved sufficiently to warrant its quick consideration and passage.
I got hospitalized at Worlds.
Can get the job done.
2017 sucked.
Few hours. Now the American people
and I got whooping cough.
What is in this bill.
Those are the 3 times in the 5 years I've been to the doctor, which is down here. And I had Dr. Jean, and I asked her if she could, can I call you? Because, I was really big. I was living really unhealthily. And I was like, she was like, you got it. You're going to be diabetic. You got to not be a fucking idiot. And I was like, word, can I call you? And she was like, no,
so let me
we don't do that.
Through the major components of the bill.
I was like, what?
As I mentioned, a Marshall Plan for the American medical system is now underway.
Bruce T. Willis. Go to school to learn to read, and then you grow up, you read to learn.
$1 billion into our hospitals and health system, headlined by a new $100 billion fund to provide our health system with whatever it needs to fight back. The grants in that fund will be available to everyone who is fighting coronavirus.
For what it's worth, Scoobs, America has a terrible, terrible healthcare system. I am in no way, shape, or form defending it. But anecdotally, I have never had an issue. I got hospitalized in Tennessee, IV, hospital bed, overnight stay. It was $50. I had insurance. If I didn't have insurance, I don't know what it would have been. Most people do have insurance. The horror stories that you hear from people that don't have insurance used to be the minority, but now as we talk about gig economy, what's up, that's me, more and more people are uninsured. But that said, I did research. When we had a bunch of European players come over to the Pro League 2 years ago. You can buy health insurance for $150 a month. And that sucks that you have to pay for it. And like I said, the free healthcare is absolutely what we want and what we need as a people. But it's not overwhelming. If you live a life, the majority, it's not overwhelmingly terrible. The problem is, if you have cystic fibrosis, if you have some weird ailment, if you have Crohn's disease, that's where it becomes an issue because the insurance companies, again, have mastered the meta. They understand that they can, leverage this much risk versus this much other things, et cetera, reward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so they can cover the normal people, and normal people only have to spend fucking $10. But God forbid you're in a wheelchair, or need a machine to breathe, or need a dog with you to see, or something like that. That's where they're like, any really need it?
Businesses can reassemble.
Do you really need it? And that's where that conversation gets really shitty. So, like, I mean, my personal experience and most people's experience is okay. But, and I think that's very telling in that my experience has been okay. My experience will likely continue to be okay. My future is uncertain because I entertain for a living. And, you know, who knows where people's money is going to go. But, like I've hit in my sub count these days. But the people that are like, well, I'm fine, so like, fuck it, dude. So you got to pay $30 to go to the doctor. That's the problem. I have no issue myself, but I still see the other side of the coin. It's people that only see their own experience, and that has much to do with healthcare or otherwise.
Accountability of all loans made to corporations. The Republican bill initially put the focus on rescuing industry and did not do enough to protect the hundreds.
Yeah, I did not have the army to do that for me.
Thousands of workers those industries employ. But as a result,
yeah, all the European players that have like come to America and like, you know, like I've taken a non-zero amount of professional Smite players to the hospital and have their stomach pumped. You know, like shit has happened like that. And watching like, why didn't we take an ambulance? Oh shit, that would cost money. Like, is always a culture shock, for sure.
And airlines will not be allowed to spend any grant money on stock buybacks or.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, Centuria. I mean, Kate, like yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say a lot, but I have a non-zero amount of like things I should probably ask a doctor about, but I won't. It's like, fuck it. Yeah, healthcare should be an essential right. I like completely agree.
The Senate is sometime today going to be voting on this huge $2 trillion relief bill that is really going to inject a lot of money into the economy there and try to get people just a little cushion, as a lot
at
of
this point,
are shut down right now. I figure hotels are hurting.
I'm already over 30. I'm already over my hill.
Servers as well,
you know,
all in the mix here, hurting because of this shutdown of the coronavirus has really taken this country by storm. Hi, everyone. Mike Pace here. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
40 years? Hopefully only 30. Thank you very much.
Of our sister station in San Francisco in just a moment, but I
but
want to show you
the way, you know, Abs, I always looked at the military as my absolute fallback, which is why it got really scary when I turned 28 because I couldn't do it anymore. Like, I chased a dream. At first it was music, then it was acting, then I was selling weed, then it was doing this, and I never wanted to have like a cubicle job, and I understand that's a place of privilege, sure, but like if I ever became homeless or got evicted or something, I would sign up for the military, and like sweet, they take care of me. I gotta like, and I would probably get kicked out. I actually don't know, like I'm not good at anything the military like does. I actually had a plan to like get fast tracked and, you know, blah blah blah. I was going to spend 8 months in the Air Force and then go work for the intelligence community. I actually had plans drawn out, spoke to people, figured it all out. Can you imagine me being a G-man? I have pictures of me in an anti-flag shirt with a mohawk standing in front of the VFW like this.
The relief is desperately needed.
Can you imagine me as a G-man?
Revenues have dried up almost overnight, leaving them with untenable.
I would have worked for Langley.
Allocate their health care and other resources.
Easily.
Fifth, urgent help for small
Well, see,
businesses.
like Owen's not a G-man. Owen's just a grunt. Primo. I don't know if Primo's here. He's another one of our mods. He's so Santori and I have known each other since, I don't know, 5th grade, probably earlier. and Primo and I have known each other since about even earlier than that. And Primo is just as much of a punk rocker. Like we all grew up being punk rockers. Owen was a grunt. Primo's exactly what I was representing. Like, Primo had a world where, like, he was doing kind of nothing, and then it was like, I guess I'll join the army. Like, what? Guess I'll join the army, you know? And he, like, did his thing, and now he, like, works at a library. And I think that's
We do know.
I don't
that
know what the
at
numbers
least
are like that
18
because
states have
Abs
state-owned buildings,
was in the
and that
military. I
affects
imagine
about
that they're
half
like
of the US
a
population.
number
So
of
when you talk
people
about how this
that
has overtaken
like the attitudes have to be
our way of
vastly
life,
different. You have like hoorah, military's my life. My dad was a soldier. My grandfather was a soldier. My grandfather's grandfather was a soldier. And then you have people that are like, I'm literally here because I have no money. And then like people that are like figuring it out in between, right? You know, I wonder what the percentage of is because like Primo was like, sure, man, I'll do the job. He saw combat, did the whole thing, and then came home and, you know, had no intention. I had a buddy sign up for like an extra tour, and I have a buddy that's a lifelong Marine, you know?
Our markets are reacting. All right, and if you're just joining us again, we are streaming for you every day, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, coronavirusnow.com, also on Facebook pages for across the country. We do want to focus, though, our attention right now on New York City because
the Navy sent you back home?
That has seen some big numbers and
wow.
big increases. Really
That's crazy extra hard. How much would you, like, feel free to not share. Totally. That's totally fine. But like how, like I have a friend that scrubbed out of the Marines because his piss test came up positive. Spoiler alert, we did a lot of drugs as kids. And so he failed his piss test in the Marines and then joined the Navy. But whatever. Like, can you fail for sucking? Like, listen, I'm not in shape. I get it. Hold your applause or jokes, either way. But I used to be skinny and relatively in shape. I played football, right? When I played football, I played fullback. When I played football, I was lucky I was good because I just ran. I didn't want to run the laps. I didn't want to, that's why I quit. I quit basketball because I didn't like doing suicides. Like, I don't, listen, I'm a thinker. I'm a brains, not a brawn guy. Call me. I would call myself lazy, but I'm totally down to sit in front of the computer and type for 12 hours. Like, I do that sort of work for my show. I do that sort of work for Rocket League. You know what I mean? So it's not lazy. I just don't like to physically do shit. Also, fuck authority. Also, fuck black and white thinking. Also, fuck not having all the information. From a young age, my mom learned that, and whether or not this is good or bad, sure, but my mom learned that she couldn't tell me to do something. She had to tell me to do something and then why. And I might be the most compliant person on the planet, but goddamn, if you don't tell me why, that will bother me. And all of these things are not what you want to do in the military. Like,
perhaps with a very aggressive ramp-up measures to get close to 120,000 beds.
And so, like, you know, I can piss clean. I can do that. I'm capable of doing that. I can, you know, keep my stuff organized. I can do that. I will complain. I will whine. I will talk back. Like, that's just me. Will they just send me home for being a dickhead? Like,
working on a way to get people to share ventilators 2 at a time.
You have the attitude for rugby.
Projections that are still quite real.
You don't fail, but you can get demoted.
We hear about a case of a teenager.
No, you're good, sis.
In California.
Cisalini. Calling you sis sounds like a different idea.
So many numbers to look at, you know, in terms of who's being most impacted.
See, I have, yes, and also like there are like moral equivalencies, sure. Like, I don't want to be a cog in the imperialist machine that the military is in and of itself. But, you know, those are things that, like, 24-year-old Tom did not have the luxury of, you know.
From the impacts of this virus.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so...
are we going to see his kids?
Also, and I keep referring to the governor because, of course, that's where most of our information is coming. The mayor hasn't yet spoken in New York City, but Governor Cuomo has said and told young people...
we heard his kids, and then he did this. That's annoying.
You can still get this. You can be a vector for the virus. One moment. Great, Akiva. Now, I'm talking on the news, but thank you very much for letting me know. That's my son.
No, show the kid.
Package arrived.
I think yesterday, yes. Well,
show the kid.
Important. And,
show the kid.
I know you said you sent him on a car ride around, but this is the world we're living in, right? Like, how old are your kids?
Absolutely.
How old
that's my 6.5-year-old who's irrepressible. My 3-year-old is a little more pays attention to what we say, so he hasn't.
Irrepressible, good word.
Knocking on the window, that was my son trying to get my attention. He found multiple ways to get into
I will
the
tell
room.
you, Mike, if they want some TV time, we could all use a little goodness in our life, and kids make us smile all the time. So I
bring the kids.
Love hearing the sounds of your kids in the background because it reminds us. all to, maybe we need to be distracted by packages arriving, right?
Yeah, there are activities for him to keep occupied while I work and my wife works. We're trading off on this computer. We both have full-time jobs, of course. But to answer your question again, the most
look at this guy with 2 AirPods in, man.
Lung conditions especially.
Look at this guy with 2 AirPods. Oh, by the way, let me use this opportunity to plug my TikTok. Can I just do this? Does this work? No, that doesn't work. Wait, how do I? Is it TikTok.com/user? Oh, /@f.ny. Yeah, let me plug my TikTok.
I do think of myself as better than, or not better, but like bigger.
This is going
there's
sideways.
no good way to say this. I think of myself as like above the average person, so I don't feel like many people could relate to me. I do think.
Man, that was a week
think of
ago,
myself
and
as
I
better
needed a
than-
haircut then. Oh no, that's terrible.
And the ones that you're getting from the governor have changed or altered the way people are addressing this. I mean, it is hard. If we have
Toddlers and dogs are like the same thing, aren't they? If toddlers had tails, they would
it
wag
has
them all
changed
day.
life for everybody. But when we look to New York, we look for solutions that work for you guys, because if it can work in New York, then maybe it can work at
You know what, Abs? Just because you're
it's
correct doesn't
also
mean you can
changing
talk so
the way
loud.
people are addressing this.
I do want to see. Yeah,
Absolutely.
show me the cat TikTok.
People are staying apart. People are staying in their homes. The only ones going into work are essential workers, and even
I do like
those,
dogs better than toddlers,
friends in
honestly.
The media are on a reduced schedule, shifted schedule. So
Why
I'm at home
doesn't
today, I was
Chatterino
in the
allow
office
me
yesterday,
to
I'll be in the office tomorrow. It's frightening to my family.
just?
It's frightening to me.
Why
But
can't
we're doing
I
our jobs
ban
to
you
help
for
be
all
informed
these
as well.
things?
One thing,
But
that
I
do
can't
wanna
permit
note,
you.
what you had mentioned. Oh, here's my 3-year-old. Hello. Hey, Sai, I'm on TV right now. I'll be right back down. Okay. And there he is, he has food all over his face. But, Sai, I got to talk a little bit more. Right?
Well, he had something important to say too, so
yes,
don't discount your
and my wife is carrying him away. Great, guys. I'm sorry this just went off the rails, but this is
No
the
problem.
reality of working in TV
Yeah,
now.
it is, you know what? It's no problem.
But what I was going to say is Governor Cuomo had mentioned in his press conference today, as he was talking to the president, that because New York is the first wave and we're getting hit the hardest, that
They have
also
the
means
language
we will go the
acquisition
most
and
route.
emotionally
There's
regulatory
multiple
ability of the
states
top.
that are getting
I love that.
and their numbers are
That's
looking
so
on
good.
per
By the way,
capita
that's
on this
factually correct.
So Governor Cuomo said
Santeria
that
has like a
this
master's
week,
degree in like
in about 21
canine
days,
studies or whatever the right way to
then
say
we're on
like
the way
dogs
down
is.
After that, we'll be able to then take some of the emergency supplies we've received.
Can we shout
to
out
get
this
them,
father
and
real
be able to
quick?
then
Can
move
we
them
can
over
we
to the
give
next
a massive shout out to this father real quick? Guy, kid, interview.
Yeah, we are. all
That
working
he's
together
not
21
this
days.
guy? Can we give a shout out that he didn't pull this?
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be surprised if they do. Pardon me.
Like, dude, this is a funny scenario. Like, he's so fucking mad. It's actually funny. He was on TV. He was on TV last week broadcasting from this same spot. And the tweet was, is anybody else it was this. He was broadcasting from this same spot last week, and they just had the door circled. They were like, anybody else just staring at this door the entire time? Like,
Policy choices on North Korea have been severely limited.
the child shove, the just
sands in the region.
get
do you think
out of
relations
here.
with the North may change.
Here comes the baby.
They do.
And then
pardon me.
She comes in like, oh shit.
My apologies.
This man handled it with a lot more grace, I will say.
Just stay at home.
I will absolutely
It's going to
say
help
that.
save so many lives. Great advice, yes. And if you are tired of the shelter-in-place order, it will end sooner if we all stay at home and just stick with it now. All right,
Yeah,
Captain
Mark,
Ezra,
that
we're going to come back
is
to you in
that's
a little bit more
something
questions
because
from our
it
viewers,
is
so
similar to the conversation we were having about educators and respect. And so in the Nordic countries, we were talking about Finland or Sweden specifically. In the Nordic countries, the idea of prestige, right, is given to teachers. Teachers, and whether or not you want to tie that to the rigorous training that they need to go through is one thing, because I think that that's, again, people like tangible things. People like to be pointed as to why. Like, if I tell you teachers are valuable because they educate our youth and that's the future of tomorrow, people will be like, okay, Snowflake. But if I go, no, we need to celebrate our teachers because, dude, they spend 7 years in school. You're like, oh, like a surgeon or a lawyer. Yeah, teachers are sick. So that's a little bit more tangible. But let's excise that, right? We have attached the idea of prestige to the idea of success, which probably isn't a terrible thing. But we have also attached the idea of success to the idea of monetary wealth. Shout out to Cody from yesterday. And that is not good all the time, right? Like, cops, shout outs to the all cops are bad people out there, because I'm going to piss you guys off. Cops, the good ones that do their jobs, are very, very important. And we don't pay them shit. And we kind of worship them here in America because we have a worship, like a weird, like, fucking militaristic idea, blah, 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 blah. But, like, we respect cops and they don't make shit. The respecting cops thing, again, is up in the air. But you know what I'm saying? The, like, average American, Kay Kona, love cops, love police, right? Like, that, there's a respect there. There is a respect for lawyers. There's a respect for politicians. There's a respect for celebrities. There's respect for rich people in general. Just like, well, you did something right to be this rich. And sometimes that's true. I've got a lot of respect for Bill Gates. I don't have a lot of respect for the guys behind the Soul company, right? The massive YouTube production company. But the idea that, like, teachers deserve prestige is laughed at a lot of the time. Like, with the recent conversation about making the minimum wage go up, we know how people feel about delivery drivers and stuff like that. My brother drives not a tractor trailer. He's not a trucker, but he does interborough. Like, my brother drives like a big box truck, and he's brown, and people like look down on him all the time. He's like, dude, I'm a smart kid from Long Island. Like, fuck you, man. Like, I know what I'm doing. And yeah, it's racial bias, sure, but it's also like classism. And people like look down on that when, like, right now, you know, Maganar works at a restaurant. Like, that's an essential worker. Who's essential? Is it the people providing food and resources? And so, like, dude, right now, we make fun of truckers all the time. Just last week, we were laughing at the world's biggest truck stop. You know what I mean? Just last week, we were laughing at the world's biggest truck stop. But they're the ones, like, keeping us going right now. Dudes getting in their truck and driving fucking, like, truckers got their hourly removed. That's actually kind of scary, because the reason there's a limit on truckers' hour limit is because, well, capitalism is predatory and blah, 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 blah. But, like, that's kind of wild. That's kind of wild. Truckers are keeping us afloat, man. Right now, so they're the real MVPs. Trying to get that number down. It sounds like Senate Democrats are saying oversight, and likely what that will pay a bunch of money to doctors, and again, it is odd, like, money, and it's very, very tough trying to, like, zoom out all the way and remove yourself. Like, it is a tough thought experiment to imagine an alien, like a different world, right? But it's kind of what we've been doing, I think.
It seems to me, right, when it came to the stimulus package, that it just kept adding, right? We didn't take away something that maybe Senate Republicans wanted, but we added something that the Senate Democrats said, okay, we'll give you that if we can also have this, and it just kind of
Who's this anchor? She's much more animated than I've seen a lot of the Fox anchors. Fox anchors. Oh, this is San Francisco. Is this a local broadcast? I don't even know what we're watching. We're watching Fox 10 Phoenix.
And Claudia, that big question for folks is about that direct check to the American people, to families, to individuals. I do want to mention for folks before they kind of get their hopes up that kind of the limit is people that make less than $75,000 in adjusted gross income annually, and that's based on
Is hydroxychloroquine the shit that?
You will not see that $1,200 check.
It's funny. Usually, I try to obfuscate names here. Like, you know, if there's a mass shooting, I never mention the shooter's name, right? If there's a murder, I always mention the family, not the guy that murders. And right there, the instinct, like as a broadcaster, you have like your lizard brain, like your instinct brain. My lizard brain instinct told me to obfuscate the name of the man who gave out that information, but the name of the man is our president.
Given to states that are hard hit this, like California and New York. He said today during his morning press conference, I think it's enough because in his eyes, he believes New York will only get about $1.3 billion of that.
See, I have a fierce respect for. I mean, lawyers are just like police in that everybody hates lawyers, everybody hates police, but the ones that are doing their job are absolutely essential and necessary, maybe because of the world that we built around us, but they are necessary. They deserve your respect. Lawyers don't have the thin blue line, which is also kind of nice. But like lawyers, a lot of people like to talk shit about lawyers, but like, you know, shout out to the ACLU, like those are just lawyers doing their job because they're like the law is so fucked up. And a lot of times the law is fucked up because nobody asked. Like, you know, why are you deporting this guy? Oh, we just didn't check, dude. Our bad. It's like, you know.
Under the age of 18, at least that we know right now, and certainly this one is, you know.
I wish I could right-click and permit you. Instead, it just spams your fucking name. Shatterino! Why can't I? Maybe user card? Nope, that's not it.
Underlying health conditions.
Oh, here's the cat.
And this certainly kind of challenges that.
This is the worst TikTok. This is the worst TikTok I've ever seen. I love your cat. That is definitely Scoob's content. This is top tier Scoob's content.
Existing health conditions, and that his father is also sick, but right now they're not going to test his father. As you know, there is a shortage of tests.
Why are you in a field? Why are you in the field?
The father must have it too. Now the mayor here is so upset about the lack of testing that he says he's taking matters.
Is there somebody else? Is there something else we could watch besides a local broad link? Well. What is it, B? What is the hotkey? Nope, that's not it. Oh no, I lost my bookmark toolbar. I don't know what the hotkey is.
He has bought 100,000 coronavirus testing kits. They are supposed to arrive tomorrow, and he basically wants every essential worker in this town who works with the public to
Factorio, man. Should we play? No, should we play Factorio or that other one? Because I am interested. Can I watch Fox News on stream? Am I allowed to? I know I can watch MSNBC. I don't know if... Bro. It straight up won't let me click on Fox. Oh, because I'm stupid. Never mind. Oh, it doesn't give me Fox News. It gives me local Fox affiliates. Got it.
Would have said China was a soft power, superpower. You didn't look to China to figure out how to run things domestically. Are you kidding me? You're going to learn something from the authoritarian, state capitalist, middle-income Chinese? But right now, the Chinese are showing the world that you really do have the ability through technologically empowered surveillance incredible data and control of all of their citizens, they've been able to get a handle of a massive outbreak that, by the way, they were responsible for. And now it's virtually over in China. And
okay,
we
but
in the
Ian,
United States
Ian, hold on.
do it. Yep.
But isn't that because China is uniquely qualified to handle this specific pandemic? Because the prescription is lock everyone up and force them to stay home. Only a country with that kind of government could do something like that.
I don't think anything this guy said was racist.
Partially, it's that.
I think the racist stuff he was saying in a mocking tone. Like, why would we look to China? I think we joined mid-quote, I think.
Through, for example, what they're doing in taxis, sanitizing them 3 times a day and putting...
Right, but I can't do, like, I couldn't offer commentary. I couldn't watch Frozen on stream and offer commentary on it. Like, there's law,
And the distancing and how they're preparing...
Fair use is what you're thinking of.
How they're doing the non-touch distance food delivery, public infrastructure and transit and the workplace.
That makes sense,
There's no
Meerkat.
question, Stephanie, that no one in the United States, we're not an authoritarian country. We don't want
Full lockdown in the UK?
But, not only was the...
Well, I mean, like, I couldn't, like, put it, like, I couldn't watch Counter-Strike. Like, I can't watch ESL Pro League on stream and commentate over it.
Aspects of life, they were able to get
so it depends state to state. I think it's easy. I don't know your level of like, understanding of the U.S., Dr. Bradders. So I apologize if you're an educated person, but the U.S. works kind of like the European Union. All of our states have individual laws. Donald Trump, the president, can't say you have to do this. He can like say it, and then all the governors do it for their individual states. So most states are on like self-quarantine advisory. Most states are like, yeah, don't go out. Non-essential workers have to stay home. It hasn't been a complete shutdown. Some people are still going to work. Some I get delivery food, no problem. But we are told to stay inside. Yeah.
Cobalt blue wall behind Ian Bremmer.
News is open source. Is all news open source? And I understand what you mean by open source, but I don't think that's the right term.
The developing world. What happens when it makes its way across Africa? So please come back soon. We're going to leave it there. Coming up, a dire situation in Florida.
I didn't think about that.
DeSantis declares more than 1,400 confirmed cases of the virus.
Yo, can we just give it up for all of the sign language interpreters today?
Don't let me remind you of those spring break pictures from last week. We're going to bring on Congresswoman Donna Shalala, who is also former head of Health and Human Services.
Does anybody speak ASL? Is speak the right term? Does anybody does it do ASL, speak ASL? I don't know what it is. But my question is, almost every single interpreter I see is very animated. And I don't mean this being, offensive. I don't know much ASL, but like as they speak, like I said, I don't know the term, they are very animated, not just with their face, but also like with their actions. Is that tone? Because as a hearing person, I always say it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. My mother said that to me from day one. Is that how people, it is tone? Interesting. Oh, it's just, they call it, I knew that term sign. I didn't know what the verb was.
We're here for the makers with new curbside pickup and delivery straight to your
Exclamation points, questions, and the like. That's what I thought, because like it's so pronounced. And as a hearing person, when somebody says, "Oh, that's right," or "Oh, that's right," those are two very different things. Like, you don't say, or "Oh, you don't say." Like those are opposites, right? Yeah, that's what I figured. That makes sense. I don't want to watch a fucking commercial.
Shop everything home at Wayfair today.
At Ring, we've reinvented.
Like, I couldn't just go out here. Like, I don't know. What's his name got in trouble for watching? Who got in trouble? Was it EE that got in trouble for just watching like Kitchen Nightmares or something on stream? Am I wrong? EE just got in trouble, And I think somebody else got in trouble for just like watching TV on their show. Because like that's, dude, I would love to do that, but you know, I don't know all the laws. Scotty. Scotty. I mean, nope. I'm gonna look at Tofu Pupper.
皆さんこんにちは. It's me, Tofu-chan. Everyone has trouble sleeping sometime, but I let you know a secret. I'm really good at sleeping. I'm gonna teach you how to relax. First, think about something you love like a family member or a big piece of cake. Then take a relaxing breath in. And when you feel ready, you can breathe out. Okay, breathe in. Breathe out.
I love this.
I'm feeling tired. Okay, breathe in. And breathe out. You're drifting off into a nice sleep. Here comes the sleep.